Really? We get a let's go moose? What am I? Chopped liver? I
What
get
did
it.
I do?
I get it. I'm past division commander. But don't
Yeah,
put me
well,
out to drive that quickly. Kind of hurts their chief of heritage operation, Ron Kennedy. Ouch. Back when
well,
I
that
was
sucks. Yeah, you go ahead.
back when I was division commander, we'd done things differently. Good evening, everybody. Hope y'all are having a great Monday, great start to your week. I know I am. Before we get started, the views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of the SCV. It's uh, Actually, Gerald, you can still call me commander because once you're commander, you're always commander. It's GEC, any division, brigade, camps, or other subsidiaries, strictly those of us who are expressing them. Hello to everybody who's in the chat. Past Commander in Chief Paul Grambling Jr., the legend. Damn it. Gerald Nelson, hello. Alan Lawrence, Charles LeRae, John, Sean, nice to see you. Past Commander in Chief Chuck McMichael, Dave Perkins, Vinny, Gerald,
Do y'all want to know
the
what
other
Connor's favorite
Kennedy,
word is?
the one
Pass.
Kennedy, the the one Kennedy twin who said
The
hello to
one
Moose, Sean, and everybody out there.
Kentucky Division Commander Thompson.
And current Commander in Chief Jason Boshears.
Yeah, Connor has a new favorite word for sure.
New favorite title is Past. And Jack DuPont, how are you doing? Y'all, we're trying something a little different tonight. Let us know if you can hear that and if it is too loud. If it is too loud, we'll turn it off because we can't do anything to it. If it's not too loud and you recognize the song, let us know.
Victor's already trying to get you to run for a certain office.
I am, yes, Vinny, it is piano. I don't see Victor's comment, but that can't be.
It says he would support.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Ron also
Not.
says you should run for something else. You have too much free time.
We're not going to talk about that right now. Miss Linda, I am doing great. I am past division commander. Keyword past. Actually, no. I stayed up late last night. Couldn't sleep because I slept part of the drive home yesterday. Freely will admit. So I stayed up working on some stuff that I have to send to our new division commander. And speaking of Chief of Heritage Operation Ron Kennedy, sent you an email late last night. Please get back to me with that as soon as you can. Moves. Faversham, Carl Jones.
Faversham, Carl Jones in the chat.
I need to call you about some stuff. If you guys cannot, oh, and Dr. Sandy Mitchum, I'm sorry to leave you out. But good evening to y'all. Again, if it gets too distracting with the background music, just let us know. Moose, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. You all rested up?
Yeah, no. We had a great weekend. I definitely caught up on my sleep today. Like
Lucky.
you, I'll admit I did sleep in today.
Lucky.
Yeah. I know my father slept in a bit himself. Bless his heart. He was running crazily this whole weekend. And bless his heart, you can say past, but he is now the first lieutenant division commander of the Mississippi Division.
Yeah, sucker.
Yeah, bless his heart. Oh, yeah, and I won. Yay.
Yeah. As I am sitting on that rapturous cemetery summit of past division commanderness, we were going for Hobby Lobby, Jordy. It's an artist who his name is Jim Gibson, who's released several different albums of him playing the piano. The first one was "Carry Me Back to Old Virginia," which used to be the Virginia State song, now the current state song of Virginia. I guess Commonwealth song is the correct term. Shenandoah. So yeah, we got those on. Just a little ambiance this evening.
All I will say is, real quick, Jack, no.
New Jack.
No.
But tonight we're going to talk about a topic that surprises for those that know me on a very very personal level. I sometimes have an ego the size of the height of four. That's getting on my nerves. Sorry, we're gonna try that another episode. When I'm having to talk, the height of Force Dawes.
You know, never.
Say again.
I said,
Me
you
no.
know.
Yeah. But we're gonna talk about some of the stuff that pretty much the past 9-10 years, well actually longer than that, 12 years of my life. Ugh.
I was 12 when this all started then.
Yep.
Welcome. Go
So
ahead.
just some of my recollections from really when I started getting involved on the division level, culminating to where this past Saturday night. Ironically, our story begins where our story ends, on the Gulf Coast. So let me know when you're ready there, Moosey.
Oh, no, I was messing with the
Hey,
title.
hey, no, Thomas Franklin spelled my name wrong again. Get that crap fixed.
Actually, it's not appearing on my screen whatsoever.
It's appearing at the top of mine.
I know I can't edit it. It's not appearing on my screen.
Thank
I,
you for giving him editing ability.
I wish I was messing with you because that would be gold. But no, I can't edit it because
we are
why?
looking for a new producer. If you would like to apply, email scvyouth@gmail.com. Anyway, so story begins in 2011. I am a young, fresh-faced, 18-year-old, freshly out of high school, with the world ahead of me. And we attended the division reunion. I was a delegate on behalf of my camp, and a gentleman by the name of Alan Palmer was elected as division commander. And while we are on our way to the banquet for seriously no, as we're on our way to the banquet, Alan stops me and he says, "Hey, I just got elected division commander." I'm like, "Yeah, I paid attention during the business meeting." And he asked me if I would serve as his division color sergeant, and I said, "Sure," not knowing exactly what the duties of the color sergeant was at that time. And told my dad about it, told mom about it. We okay, Moose. Seriously, no.
No, I'm not doing that to you. But I am going to add pictures from when you first met me, of course.
Oh, well, I care less about that. the picture, there's one picture from my 2011 at reunion, and it is hard to find, and there are very few copies of it. Anyway, Alan asked me if I would serve as his division color sergeant. I agreed. Immediately following that, within a couple of weeks, we had a memorial service for Mississippi's last two real sons who passed away. Weirdly enough, those two gentlemen were from Corinth, Mississippi, and they were cousins. So we had a service in Corinth at one gravesite than the other. Um, Now, this is 2011, and Mississippi is still rebuilding. Beauvoir specifically is still rebuilding from Katrina. As Allen's division color sergeant, or Commander Palmer's division color sergeant, we traveled, and I say we, my parents went with me, or my sister went with me, or the whole family went with me everywhere we went. We went to, again, mention Corinth, literally within a month from the coast to Corinth, Vicksburg several times, Meridian several times, and all throughout the state. This is also at the beginning of the sesquicentennial, the 150th. So we had sesquicentennial events happening all over the state, and we attended those. The one thing that being color sergeant afforded me was the ability or not the ability. I mean, everybody has the ability, but the for me, I felt it as a sense of duty to be at all the division executive council meetings, make sure that the colors were put out for the opening ceremonies and things like that. Um, and so I began attending those EC meetings and learning more about the inner workings of the division, parliamentary procedure. Um, some learned a lot about diplomacy, but some of those lessons didn't exactly take, much to some folks' headache. And in 2013, we had the Heritage Rally, the Sesquicentennial Heritage Rally down at Beauvoir. It was a national event, and we actually got a chance to march down Highway 90 in order of secession. Gulfport PD blocked Highway 90, actually stopped the traffic so that we could get through. First time in forever or if ever, but definitely in a while that they blocked Highway 90 on all four lanes and allowed us to cross the road. And of course, Mississippi being second in secession, and being there, we had probably the largest contingency. We had every national flag flying, our 1894 flag, our Magnolia flag, the battle flag, and then more following that. Um, so that was really nice to be able to participate in that, and then I had the honor of commanding the color guard at the 2013 national reunion that was held in Vicksburg. Um, One thing that I wanted to do, uh, starting off, was getting the Mississippi Division Color Guard uniform standards set back to what they were when I was growing up. Now, if you're not familiar, the Army of Mississippi uniform, fatigue uniform, called for red flannel shirts, sky blue trousers with, or actually gray trousers, but sky blues were I believe in there as well, with various striping along the leg denoting rank, things of that nature, and a black hat that could be looped up on all three sides in the shape of a tricorn for parade. Um, Growing up, I remember seeing the color guard and all the guys in that uniform. Um, Again, those were the 1861 Army Mississippi uniform regulations. Now they looked a lot like the Mississippi Rifles of the Mexican War, but it was based off of those Army Mississippi uniform regulations. And I just went through the pictures, some of the pictures last night. And Moose, I'm going to actually send this one picture over to you, and see if you can get it to upload really quickly. If I can find you on Facebook, because that's on my phone.
All right.
I'll send it. I'll send it in the group chat.
Okay.
Tony,
how's the wife and kids?
sorry. But while Moose is uploading that, you'll see everybody in the color guard. The floors of the Vicksburg Convention Center. This is just a little funny story for you. Are concrete with an epoxy seal on it. And if you've ever worn brogans, then you know epoxy seals and brogans don't mix at all. And I got the color guard mustered in the front lobby, and I'm trying to, because the room was set up in different, I believe it was 8 different banks of seats, and we had to march in from the back and pretty much play Snake, if you remember that game from the old Nokia phones. There we go. There's us there in Vicksburg, Mississippi. You can see me with the battle shirt. I still have that battle shirt, as well as everybody else in uniform. You may, Harrison, recognize the guy there on the end. That's Greg Johnson, and next to him is Jim Huffman. And anyway, as I'm snaking my way around the room, I hit a lovely spot of the floor. I'm walking up to the stage actually, and the heel plate catches that slick pavement just right. And I busted my butt. I mean, my left leg shot out from under me. Somehow my foot ended up under the stairs and messing up my big toe. And I just hit the ground hard. Anyway, we ended up doing the presentation of the colors and everything. Everybody was on step. And after that, Chuck McMichael paid me, second time I ever met Chuck. And he paid me, you can pull the picture down this. He paid me a very nice compliment saying I was one of the best color guards that he'd seen in a while. But 2013 was a changing year because that's the year I ran for office for the first time on the, then it was the brigade level. But for an executive council level office. In Mississippi, we of course have our brigade commander, but then we also have a brigade councilman. Hey, Moose, you're a brigade councilman.
Yep, newly elected.
So I ran for brigade councilman. Reason why I ran is we were supposed to do brigade elections in March, but something happened and we couldn't do it until reunion. And it's May, reunion's in June. Nobody had announced for the councilman position. So I ran for it and figured if nobody else wants to do it, I will. And was elected by acclamation. On the EC, probably my proudest moment was presenting, and I just found the original documentation the other day, was presenting the creating or help creating, giving the idea and typing up the reasoning and rationale for the Verena Howell Davis Mississippi Division Ladies Appreciation Award. And here we are, 10 years later, and we're still giving that award out. So that was something I was really, really proud of. Um, and the uniform for the color guard has still pretty much remained the same since then. So that's two lasting legacies from that. Things though changed for me. I moved away from home and moved to the flatlands of the Mississippi Delta. And when it was time for me to seek reelection, I was at Delta State University. I did not feel that living that many miles and hours away from the 4th Brigade, it wasn't appropriate for me to run for reelection. So I sat back. Now, during that time, life also changed for me. I met a man who's much of a man and 100% Marine, Carl Jones. Met him at Tom Strain's lake cabin or lake house. He began telling me about this weird organization he was in, something about Spatula Cavalry, and we just clicked and had a great time. And when Tom Strain was elected commander in chief, Carl was his chief of heritage operations, and I was his deputy chief. And worked diligently trying to do the job of deputy chief of heritage promotions. At that time, mega flags were a big thing, and we had a lot of camps, divisions, brigades, and other subsidiaries trying to put up mega flags. So I would read leases and look at schematics and things like that and make sure that the flags were okay. And we would present, yeah, we're okay with this, and present it for the EC to, or GEC to, whether fund or not. That was the first time that I got to actually address the national reunion. Was in, I believe it was 2000. Let me see. 2015 was Richmond. 2016 was Dallas, and that's when Tom was elected as commander in chief. 2017 would have been Memphis. That was the first time I got to address the body. When Tom stepped down from office and past commander in chief Paul Gramling Jr. was elected, I was asked if I would serve as his deputy chief of staff. I gladly did. All throughout this time, I must digress. I keep forgetting about this office. But in 2014, I was asked to serve as adjutant for the Army of Tennessee, and served up until this past year when I had to resign due to a schedule thing, or past couple months, not past year. But all throughout that time, I'm doing the adjutant thing in the Army of Tennessee, at the Army of Tennessee meetings, trying to go to the Army of Tennessee workshops, everything like that. But a friend of mine who I love dearly, Jeff Barnes, Mr. Jeff, past division commander Jeff Barnes, the has-been of has-beens. He ran for division commander and asked me if I would run with him as his lieutenant, and we traveled the state, and we ran together. In fact, we like to talk about this one evening. Bruce Warren, compatriot Bruce, brigade commander Bruce Warren, was running for the board at Beauvoir, and he was traveling with us. And we went up to Corinth one evening. It was a Tuesday evening. We still met up on Tuesdays. And from Jackson, Mississippi, there's no real easy way to get to Corinth. So the easiest way is to get on Highway 25 and go north. Well, we met. I met Jeff and Bruce in Carthage, Mississippi, and we carpooled up there. Well, on our way back, Jeff and I are just talking, just back and forth. Bruce is taking a nap in the back seat, and we're not paying attention. I don't have my GPS connected because, or if I do, I had the phone turned way down so that we could we're just having a really great conversation. And all of a sudden, look at my rear view. Bruce sits up. It's pitch black dark, mind you. Looks out the window. Looks back up. Hey, we missed our turn about 15 minutes ago, and went back to sleep. But anyway, we had to turn around and the Oxford that Oxford reunion, Bruce and I were elected, or Jeff and I were elected in 2017.
I was there, and that was the first time I ever heard about Conor Bond. Yes, it was. I voted for you.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. We did that. It was a great evening, great reunion. Well, I just had something pop up in my mind that we definitely need a behind the scenes show for me to talk about. But digressing, as a first lieutenant commander, in Mississippi, that's charged of recruiting and retention. We actually did start seeing an increase in membership. And of course, all during this whole time, we've been dealing with the fallout from the Dylan Roof situation. We've gone through and done, a couple of state flag amendments, state flag rallies that I was attending and things of that nature. But we had a little bit of political cover with those with the ballot initiatives, and we were able to stave off the legislature what thought we the final time. But it we'll get to that. Spoiler alert. That comes back up in year number one of or term number one. Anyway, one of the things that Jeff and I did, and we talked about that we wanted to accomplish during his term, was we wanted the Mississippi division to be incorporated under Mississippi law, and we wanted to do an overhaul of our bylaws constitution. And we did that, and on during Jeff's first reunion, which was held at Bow, we spent all day going over and rehashing out our division constitution. That was a long convention. We passed all changes to the Constitution, all articles except for one, and we'll get into that later on. Anyway, during Jeff decided he only wanted to do one term as division commander, so the natural progression in 2019 was for me to run for division commander. I did not run unopposed. I won the election in Brandon, Mississippi. Past Commander-in-Chief Paul Gramley Jr. was there, and he swore me in on my grandfather's Masonic Bible, same Masonic Bible I used during my Master Mason's degree, something that I really appreciate and love to this day. And yep, there it is. 4 years ago and about 50 pounds lighter. There we are. And began trying to hit the ground running as a division commander. We got our first challenge coins, which at that point, if there were other divisions or camps or other subsidiaries that were doing them, I don't think I remember about them. And at the national reunion in Mobile, we sold those and they went like crazy. It was also shortly after that, though. My father was diagnosed with lung cancer. And at first, the diagnosis looked decent, but soon we found out that it wasn't, and he passed away in December of 2019. Of course, 2019, we roll into 2020, and during 2020, we're hearing the rumors of this virus that is sweeping all through China. And things in China aren't looking good with this virus, and it begins going all throughout the world. 2020 was also a leap year, if memory serves correct. I believe it does. And we held a workshop at the War Memorial Building in Jackson on leap year day, because we had an extra day of the year, might as well do it then. And little do we know, 2 weeks later, we're going to be shut down. So trying to hold a division together through COVID was really a fun thing, especially in April, when I got a call from the commander of the camp that was supposed to host the reunion that year. And they were freaking out because the Civic Center where we were having the reunion, same one I busted my butt in 2013, said that, hey, we're not allowing gatherings of more than 10 people. We still have an elderly membership. If they didn't postpone until the next year, they would lose their money and deposit and everything. But they had to make a decision quick, fast, and in a hurry. And to help the camp out, and because we didn't know where we'd be with the China virus later on that year, I just went ahead and told them to postpone, sign it for next year. And they did, but that was still we still had to figure out how to meet, because our fiscal year runs along with the SCV's fiscal year, and we needed to adopt a new budget for that year. So I called my first emergency reunion for the transaction of business, and I viewed that it was an emergency situation. We held that meeting. We passed our budget, and we were still able to do a couple of constitutional amendments and things of that nature. Now, while all that's happening, we're in the summer of 2020. If you remember, that's when a lot of the things began to shake up across the South again, with the situation with Minneapolis, I believe is where it happened, the George Floyd stuff. And I can't remember who said it. I think it was Rob Emanuel, who was on a member of President Obama's staff, who said, never let a good crisis go to waste. And the Republicans in Mississippi, oh wait, views and opinions are mine. They decided not to let a good crisis go to waste, and they began heavily hammering on members of the House of Representatives and the Senate to change the flag. We tried everything that we could on such short notice, burning the phone lines up, everything, and much to our headache and heartache, actually Moose and I were there that day in the House, or in the Senate gallery, and we lost that vote. Former mayor of Chicago. That was heart-wrenching day, because it was December, January, February, March, April, May, exactly 6 months from my dad's passing. That which Moose, I'm going to send you another picture really quickly that we'll pull up later. I'm sending you a single one and then a double one. Go ahead and throw that single one up, if you don't mind, whenever you can. But it was exactly 6 months from Dad's passing that the House and Senate voted to suspend the rules to allow for this bill to go up on the floor, and they did. Um, there was a lot of political maneuvering with it, um, but it was what it was. Um, excuse me. Uh, the rest of that first year, things began getting better because of COVID. Restrictions began getting, yeah. So that's my father. He was actually that was on the cover of the Clarion Ledger from one of the flag rallies we had in 2015. So it was definitely a difficult time within my 10 years office. You can go ahead and pull it back down, Moose. But things began getting better. We began meeting back to back, and during this time, I began working with Terry Arthur from the Calhoun Avengers Camp 1969 about um, having a monument in Calhoun County. Forrest Dawes was beginning to work on the CERT program, getting that throughout the state. Um, Terry was working on getting the monument done. We were able to adopt our budget and move forward. We began progressing on some things. Um, Mississippi, just like Tennessee and other states, our state card tag. The funds from that goes to preserve Confederate flags. For the first time within our division's history, we sent 3 flags to the conservator at the same time. We picked one that was that the Archives and History asked us to preserve because of they wanted another second national to have on display, and I believe another first national, and then a small flag preserved as well. We sent all 3 of those off, and Archives and History really appreciated that. Um, 2000, 2020 we wrapped up, and then we went into 2021, somewhat going back to normalcy. Um, we had our actually let me digress for a moment. I forgot a very important moment, Moose, and you forgot to remind me about it.
Which moment are you talking about?
April 25th, 2020.
Oh crap!
When I learned that Moose cannot sing.
Oh no! Let's go to Let's tell the April 2019. That one's at least a good story.
Uh, no, April. That's when we. No, it's 2020.
No, I met you before you were elected to division commander.
Oh, pish posh. You can talk about that in a second. So we're in the middle of COVID. The state of Mississippi said you couldn't have gatherings larger than 10 people. And we decided that on April 25th, we would have a virtual Confederate memorial service broadcasted live from Friendship Cemetery at the grave of Stephen D. Lee, the man who gave us the charge on Charge Day. And that's kind of how SCV Chat was born that day. We did a thing, and um, we had. I remember us that one video reaching 20,000 people, and we were all excited. The reason why Moose doesn't like this story is because myself, First Lieutenant Commander Stan Rhoda, now Commander in Chief Jason Boshears, um, Carl it was Carl Jones when he was Division Commander of Alabama. Myself, past Division Commander Jeff Barnes, Randy Jackson, my mother, Miss Denise, Jeff's wife, We did that. Linda Boshears was there. We did that service, and it was our first live broadcast of an event, and it took off like crazy. We were it was great, but Moose was operating the camera, and by camera I mean my phone. And Moose was all caught up in the moment. Of course, this is our first time that we've done a live stream, and Moose sang Dixie as we all sang Dixie, and he was off key, he was off tempo. That C above high C or whatever it is there when we're doing there when you get to the chorus, his voice cracked in it, I believe. He the Bible says make a joyful noise, and that's what he was doing. He was making a joyful noise. Vinny, you don't want him singing for us. So forgot about that.
So happy you added that in.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I mean, I left that out, but I shouldn't have left that out. I apologize to the viewers for forgetting about Moose singing bad.
Isn't that video still up too somewhere?
I don't know. I pulled down my division commander's page a couple of weeks ago, and I can't remember if I broadcasted it from there and shared it around or what.
Okay,
but
so
that was
it's
that
deleted.
but it was a very very good event, and kind of the birth of SCV Chat. Of course, that year, our 2020, our reunion was where, Moose?
2020?
Mm-hmm. National.
Oh, national. Florida.
Yeah, and then, of course, SCV Chat was born from there. Going in, and that kind of segues to this second term of office. COVID robbed me of a year, so I decided to run for a second term. First time in division history that we've had somebody crazy enough to do a second term. Was elected by acclamation in Vicksburg, and began working on some things. We had some. I mentioned that there was one section of the Constitution when I was lieutenant commander that needed to be changed. And we went forward with trying to get that changed. Due to a technicality, we couldn't change it during our division elections, our division reunion in Columbus. So I called a special, my second special reunion, because we needed that change. We needed to be able to operate with that change in the Constitution. We got that change done. We began making progress more and more with what's now the Confederate Park in Calhoun County. We got some, the Mississippi Division helped purchase the land as well as finish paying off the monument. We got some help from National and some other organizations. The guardianship program began kicking up more and more. Got that restarted and revitalized thanks to Terry Arthur. Forrest Dawes' monument program began getting up. Had another CERT training class, and really that was really great. We purchased because we were financially conservative. We were able to do a lot of big ticket prices or big ticket items that within my 2 terms, purchasing headstones for a section of Soldiers Rest in Vicksburg, the monument in Calhoun City, 5 flags being preserved at the National or by the Archives and History, a rather substantial donation to the National Museum when we had the Vicksburg reunion. multiple donations to Beauvoir, purchasing artifacts for Beauvoir, making donations to Beauvoir to fix our fire suppression system down there. We were able to do a lot of that stuff because, again, we were smart about how we managed our money. And I'd like to do a shout out and a thanks to Mike Moore, our division adjutant, for everything that he did during the 2 years. The culmination, really, the high point of my 4 years as division commander was this past April, and I'm sure y'all have seen the video where we finally were able to dedicate that monument and Confederate Park in Calhoun County. That was a really seeing something to fruition. All good things have to come to an end. In Mississippi, the division commander is term limited to 2 terms. They don't have to be consecutive, but he has 2 terms. My time in office ran out this past Saturday. And if y'all will allow me, if I can pull it up, I was going to go through and do my address that I gave, my retiring address that I gave Saturday. You okay with that, Moose, or do we need to take a break?
Do you have it pulled up and ready to go?
I got it pulled up, ready to go, but we can take a break. Either one. Go ahead. Let's go ahead and do the sponsor break. I'll do that. And then we can talk about some future items as well as let you tell a couple of Conroe stories. How about that?
That sounds good.
Go ahead and pull me off. Go ahead and pull me off screen. I'm going to go make a glass of water really quickly.
All right. So much to the poor Kennedy twins' dismay, I do not have my new script on the Monday show program yet. So y'all are going to have to bear with me as I go through the old one. But the old one's still very good itself, because tonight's Pop Talk Break is sponsored by the Kennedy twins' newest book, Jefferson Davis, High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government. Jefferson Davis' High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government was how Jefferson Davis was a leader of the High Road to Emancipation. He looked for a day in which slaves would be able to participate and live in society. He did more, though, than advocate for this high road to emancipation. He practiced his beliefs in the ultimate emancipation of Southern slaves, and many of his former slaves left for prosperity and their testimony about their former master, who prepared them to be self-sustaining members of society. You can find the Kennedy twins' newest book, Jefferson Davis, High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government, at www.kennedytwins.com and most online bookstores, including visitbeauvoir.org and scv.org. We want to thank the Kennedy twins again for sponsoring tonight's Pop Tart break, and we will be right back after this Pop Tart break.
I've always been proud of my Confederate ancestry, but I never pursued becoming a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. It all changed in 2017 when I saw New Orleans take down their Confederate statues. Those monuments come down really lit a fire inside of me, and came to the conclusion I needed to join the Sons of Confederate Veterans. It's a domino effect. We give in on this, it's just a matter of time before they start taking down Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. We need to draw the line in the sand right now. These are our Confederate monuments, these are our Southern heroes, and you're not going to take them down. Our museum is going to be funded 100% by the Sons of Confederate Veterans. The history, the narrative that we present will be the narrative that we write, so it will be our story, our museum. Right now, if we do not protect our heritage and present it as it truly was, it's going to be lost forever. We're going to tell the true story here. I'm Adam Southern, and I'm a proud descendant of Private Alfred D. Southern, a Confederate veteran.
We want to thank the Kennedy Twins' newest book, Jefferson Davis, High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government, again for sponsoring tonight's Pop Talk break. And you can get their newest book at www.kennedytwins.com and most online bookstores. In all honesty, I was going to play your face video, but I accidentally clicked Adam's because y'all are just basically twins.
That, and I keep deleting it out of the queued videos, which is a fun fact. I was the first Faces ad, again, 50 pounds ago.
You can check it out on last Thursday's episode.
Oh, thank you, Moose. Little shit. Anyway. My views, my opinions. All right. So this was my retiring address from this past Saturday. Of course, I ad-libbed some lines, and I'm not going to re-ad-lib those live on air. But I rise for the last time to address this esteemed body, or compatriots, I rise for the last time to address this esteemed body. Many of you may have read my farewell letter in the Book of Reports, but if you haven't, you're in a treat, and if you have, I'm going to expound upon it a little bit. Time is a weird thing. You elected me as your division commander in Brandon, Mississippi 4 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. As I compiled my thoughts for this report, I calculated my time as your division commander. And if I calculated correctly, I'm going to pause here and say I did calculate correctly. I will have served 1,464 days as division commander. To put that in perspective, if you figure the number of days between April 12th, 1861 and May 9th, 1865, the firing of Fort Sumter to when General Forrest surrendered in Gainesville, Alabama, that was 1,488 days. So essentially, I was 24 days short of the war. Many things have happened in the 4 years that I were in office. We had our trials and tribulations. COVID, state flag, monument relocation. It's one thing I didn't talk about during everything else. Mississippi has been extremely blessed. We haven't had a monument removed. They've just been relocated. The rise of Antifa and other anti-Confederate groups. No political representation for the independent people of the South in the federal or state governments. The continual brainwashing for the future of the South, our youth, and apathy within our ranks. But we've had our victories and our successes. As I mentioned, no monuments have been removed, only relocated. And in fact, after several years, the monument to Jefferson Davis that was on Mississippi Highway 49, which I believe that project was started in 1862, with as long as it took them to do it. Haha, that's a little joke. Is scheduled soon to be re-erected on private land. We have been economically responsible, but still we were able to donate 2 artifacts to the Confederate Museum in Elm Springs, preserve 5 Confederate flags held by the Mississippi Department of Archives and History, which has improved our relationship with them, and erected the first Confederate monument in several years in Mississippi. And we should still, and we did that day, tip our hats to the Calhoun Avengers, Sons of Confederate Veterans Camp 1969, and the Margie B. Rogers Clark Order of Confederate Rose Chapter 17, who worked diligently to erect that monument. And our camps and our communities are getting recognition for our organization. Despite attacks from without and disagreements from within, our division still stood strong. Any achievements were only possible with the diligent devotion of the division's executive council and our membership. Both have caused the division to survive and prosper. With men such as these, our heritage and the cause for which our ancestors stood will never be lost. I then took a moment to recognize the members of my DEC from this past term. My chief of staff, who's also adjutant-in-chief, Dan McCaskill. My recording secretary, who served as my deputy chief of staff as well, Michael Putnam. My judge advocate general, my first lieutenant commander, Stan Rhoda, who is with me every single step of the way for all 4 years, as well as my second lieutenant commander, Dennis Brown, who is now our division commander. My division adjutant, Mike Moore, who kept me straight on a lot of things and didn't let me go too far off into the deep end. He'd always, reel me back in. My first brigade commander and councilman, T.J. Jones and Boyd Coker, respectfully. Boyd Coker now serves as that brigade's commander. John Wiggins, who was my second brigade commander, he's still in that position. My second brigade councilman, Terry Arthur, who is now our second lieutenant commander. Our third brigade commander, Aubrey Everett, and his councilman, Randy Coward. Bruce Warren and Ian Powell from the 4th Brigade, the commander and councilman, respectively. Orrin Thomas and our 5th Brigade commander, and our 5th Brigade councilman, Stalls, who's now our first lieutenant commander. So most of the positions in my brigade staff, with the exception of 4, are remaining the same, as well as the captains of the Mississippi Mechanized Cavalry 1G. I've had 2 captains serve on my EC as voting members, Kevin Nelms and Billy Bryant, which we then gave them a round of applause. I also took a point of personal privilege to thank some members of my staff, advisors, and mentors. And now I'm going to get really gushy because I couldn't do it Saturday because I was going to cry. And the first one I thanked was Harrison G. Dawes. Harrison has been like a little brother to me, except the little brother I didn't want necessarily. Harrison and I met in May of 2019. Yeah, 2019 in Oxford, Mississippi. He was a shaggy looking, hippie looking, with his long hair and scraggly beard. Student at Ole Miss. He was there for the memorial service that's held there at the Confederate Cemetery. And we began talking, and we talked for 2 hours. Then we began texting each other. Then we began calling each other after I got into office. And I would say on average, we spend probably 6 hours a week on the phone with each other. He was my aide de camp. He was there when, I was pissed off at the world and, at certain members because they were driving me crazy. Always there to calm me down. Or at least if I said, get the shovel, let's go hide the body, he said, where are we hiding, in my place or yours? He was my traveling companion. He's my business partner. He's one of my best friends. And I personally look forward to seeing what he's going to do for this organization. He's got a passion and a zeal that reminds me of me at his age. He's a good moose. He's a good moose. Continuing on, I thanked the past division commanders that I've worked with. Of course, Jeff Barnes, who we worked together when he was our division commander. I was his lieutenant. Again, he and I, we talked regularly through everything. He was a good sounding board. Past commander-in-chief, who was also past division commander, who's also an educator, Larry McClooney. He's been one of my best friends, and like an older brother for several years. I've known Larry all my life, it feels like. I used to look up to Larry, and then at about the age of 14, I hit a growth spurt. And yeah, it's funny because he's short. John Eccles, who was a past division commander who served as my editor of my newsletter. I dare anybody to try to find me a finer man than John Eccles. And Rick Fort. My 2 division chaplains from both terms in office, Reverend James Taylor and Reverend Cecil Fayard. My 2 sergeants at arm, Jeff Ainsworth and Billy Bryant. And the members of my camp, the Rankin Grace Camp 227A, because no matter what happened, they had my back at all times. I also honored a few members of the division who served as mentors throughout my life but had passed. Past Division Commander Lamar Roberts. Um, Both my grandfathers had passed away before I was born, and I kind of adopted Lamar, and Lamar adopted me right back and was like a grandfather to me. Um, I loved that man. He passed when I was lieutenant commander of the division. The late Carl Ford, who was my first division JAG, as well as just an institution in the Mississippi division. Yeah, I miss Carl and his fight, and of course my father. Also thanked, even though they weren't in there, my mother Cindy. Um, Mother has been probably one of the biggest Confederates that I've known for the past 30 years. She served as the second president of the Mississippi Society Order of Confederate Rose. She's planned memorial services. She's attended memorial services. She's done anything and everything that you can ask a lady to do with Confederate heritage. She's done it. And then my sister Susie, who my sister Susie, who's following in her footsteps as current OCR president. Two moments that really got to stand out to me. I had the honor of presenting my mother with her Army of Tennessee Ladies Appreciation Award during my first term. And I did that at the Tomb of the Unknown Confederate Soldier of Beauvoir. And then my sisters, I presented her with hers at the National Pilgrimage at headquarters right beside the statue of Robert E. Lee this past year. So I had the honor of doing that. Continued on, though, with we're a unique organization. We have members from all walks of life: lawyers, doctors, bankers, salesmen, farmers, mechanics, truckers, veterans, first responders, educators like Larry McClooney, and the list goes on and on. And I couldn't think of a better group of men than the Mississippi Division SCV. From Corinth to the coast, from Vicksburg to Meridian, and all points in between, the Mississippi Division membership are the backbones of their community. Just like everyone in the Confederation is, or if you have Confederate blood flowing through your veins, we are, and I said to them, you are the living monuments, but we are the living monuments to our ancestors. We personify the best qualities in America, just as our Confederate ancestors did. And we can stand tall because we stand on the shoulders of giants. And again, and I thank them, and I continue to thank them for their time as their division commander, for the new friends and experiences, and for placing their trust in me for 4 years, and for the past 1,464 days that I got to serve them. When making decisions, I've always tried to live by a simple quote: be always sure you're right, then go ahead. And while many may disagree with some of the decisions I made as division commander, they were made with the best of the division in mind, and that I've never taken lightly the responsibility entrusted to me by the Mississippi Division membership. I concluded with a quote from the charge. There's a lot more than just "You Sons of Confederate Veterans" in there, and I encourage all members to go read it. But General S.D. Lee said to the membership of the UCV, "Let each camp continue its special care for this beneficent labor, and see to it that true comradeship shall cease only when all of us have passed beyond the human power to relive." I reminded the division that it was time to close a chapter in our division's history and open a new one. And I still, like I did the other day, trust that an ever-wise, kind, and merciful providence will continue to protect and guide and strengthen the Mississippi Division. And as I stepped down from office, I looked forward to supporting the next administration and fighting with the membership for our heritage, and let them know that I stood down with an unceasing admiration for their constancy and devotion to our division, and a grateful remembrance of their kind and generous consideration for myself. We then left and we went to Bovor Corporation meeting. Then Moose and Forrest and my sister and my mother, we went and ate barbecue, and it was great. And then we came back and did the banquet and swore Dennis in. And hey, you got the picture of that? Got a picture of me just as soon as I got done finishing swearing Dennis in, and everybody left the room. Still muted there, Moosey.
Yes, I have it on my phone, and I can put it in right now because I
Go ahead and put it in. There, I also just sent it via the group. I'm sending it via the group.
while we're waiting it to load.
Guys are on a break now. I don't know where they're going to. Yes, as you can see, 4 years. I look so youthful there on the left in the turkey turd brown suit. So full of hope.
The
Forrest
funny
was
thing,
still tall.
yeah, Dad hasn't changed. Dad doesn't age. But it's the fun fact that the 50 pounds you lost, I definitely found. And the funny thing is, you describe me as someone with long, mangy hair and bad facial hair. In the
I said it was scraggly, not bad.
Scraggly. The funny thing is I actually got a haircut and I shaved for you the first year when you were elected. And then 4 years later, I could not give one more crap to give.
So we have a group chat going on between myself and Forrest, Harrison, and my sister Susie, and I keep sending Harrison these pictures to put up online, and clearly none of Forrest and Susie aren't watching this episode because I send the pictures and they're like, "Yep, it was a really great weekend at reunion." Yep,
They're so confused, bless them. But
yeah, they have no idea, and I really.
I even told them.
Need to be watching chat.
I'll say it again. A pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a man that is happily retired.
So I went and I swore Dennis in. I took that gewgaw off, put my 2 stars in. Don't know where my gewgaw is right now. Threw my went back to the back cooler left over from the reception the night before, grabbed a High Life champagne of beers, kicked my feet up, and enjoyed the silence for a couple of minutes. Sunday we stayed around and helped clean up and talk about the future of Bovor and things like that. Because Forrest was also elected to the board of directors down there. Moose serves as chairman of the board of trustees. And we drove back, and after supper, met a great guy named Tony there at the restaurant. Tony! But as we stopped at Highway 49 in Mendenhall at my dad's grave, and I got one last picture with my flag before it goes. The story about that flag is when I was elected division commander, his last Christmas with us, he bought that flag from Bovor and had it embroidered with, you can't really see it, but it says Mississippi Division SCV, State of Mississippi in the white bar. And the flower arrangement is covering it, but it says division commander. That flag is now being embroidered with the word past in front of division commander and then the years on there. So But there are a lot of people who have asked, especially from my camp, just a brief history of what I've done as division commander, as well as throughout my other division offices and things of that nature. What's going to happen in the future? I don't know. But right now, I'm going to sit back, relax, have a Pop-Tart or two, and get ready for whatever's next. So,
And no matter what you do, I'll have your back, and I know it'll be great. And I know we will have more embarrassing stories at any moment in time.
yeah, and I didn't realize that that I was going to talk about myself for an hour and a half.
Well, we're not 2.5 yet, and because of that,
I'm rounding up.
I am going to tell a couple of my Conor stories now.
Well, back when I was division commander, we didn't do that.
Well, we just started it, so and you started this by bringing in Dixie. I am not brave enough. Much like you, I will do you the respect of not showing what I'm about to talk about. But this shows you how early on we were in our friendship.
This isn't the toe story, is it?
No, that dies with us. that dies with us.
That was a good road trip.
That was a really good road trip. I will thank Conor because when I accepted his aide-de-camp position, because I wanted to pick his brain about this organization. And I did. And I did it to the point where he probably was so thankful when his last term ended, because to this day I still pick his brain. He won't be able to get away from me now. God bless him. But this was early on, and we can talk about a couple of our road trips that got hilarious if you want. But you haven't been division commander but for a couple months, and so we were still early on in our friendship. And it was March. Actually, it was a year. It was a year, and it was March 2021, and your camp was having a meeting. And I decided to come. And I'm finally going to tell you the 100% real version of the story live on air, because I've been lying to you.
I knew it. You little snake. I've
been blaming a compatriot for who did this to you for years. So what happened was,
you need to get that bleep button figured out, because that is,
it's so
okay. So I'll tell you what it is. It was a couple
wait. Let me tell you.
My birthday. No. And this little turd comes to one of my camp meetings, and all of a sudden we made it a Mexican restaurant, and all of a sudden, here comes the mariachis. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday, senor, and a plate full of dang whipped cream right in my beard. And this is before the meeting starts. So I have to go to the bathroom, and restaurant bathroom sinks you only have like this much clearance. So I'm leaning over, and this bathroom vanity in the restaurant, for lack of a better term, is a good, this wide. So I'm having to lean over, put my face down under the faucet. I'm standing like this, one leg on the ground, the other leg kicked out at a 90-degree angle. My beard was sticky for the rest of the night. I'm going to murder you in your sleep. Not really.
Okay. So here's some added.
I'm going to set your truck on fire.
So when I went to this camp meeting, it was just another, because your camp is 2 hours from where I live, and I was visiting home that weekend. And you sent me a message, hey, I have a camp meeting. This is when you officially gave me also, which made it even worse, you officially gave me my certificate for aide de camp. And when I got there, I didn't know it was your birthday. We weren't.
It wasn't my birthday. It was past my birthday.
Yeah, it was past your birthday.
Well past my birthday.
It was a couple weeks past your birthday. And I think what happened was I figured out your birthday that year. Because when I met you the first time in March, we were just now talking. So, yeah, I had figured out your birthday and I wanted to do something. And so normally when you go to these restaurants, they take a bit of whipped cream, put it on your face, put it on your cheeks, and then they let you eat the rest.
No, they don't. Not at
well, they do. They do in my neck of the woods. But here's something you didn't know. So, yes, I've been lying to Conor. I've been blaming a member of his camp for years for coming up with the idea to do that to him. And this is like...
Check the private chat.
Like right before right before the food got there, you eat for his camp, then you have the meeting. I go up to one of the waiters and I said, "You see that man over there? It's his birthday. I want you to put the whipped cream in his beard." And so the guy comes, and I didn't really tell him other than that. And I'm sitting right across from Conor. I'd just gotten my food. And Conor's like, "Where's my dadgum food? They're taking forever." And then they come around singing happy birthday. And he's like, yeah, let's get it over with. Conor doesn't like celebrating his birthday. And then I see it. This big little cake, and it had just a ton of whipped cream everywhere.
No, it was a paper plate.
It was a paper plate full of whipped cream. And the guy grabs it. And like first he does this, and then he just grabs it all and runs it through Conor's beard.
I mean, like he
played with your whiskers.
Yeah, and at that point, I don't like trimming my own beard because I'll do okay, that's too much, and try to even it up, and it still goes, So whenever I get my hair cut, I try to do it, get the barber to do it because he's a professional at it. So it was a little long at the time.
Yes.
And
yeah, and like it turned it into like this magnificent beard, and I
look like dang old Colonel Sanders.
You did like his whole facial hair, everyone was solid white.
The picture Moose has is, I've got the sombrero on my head, and because I saw the whipped cream coming. And the only thing I think of, I just gotten my gigo. I'm like, I don't want whipped cream on my dang gigo. So I'm holding my gigo as the guys,
Yeah, and he does it, and I snap a picture of Conor. And Conor, at that point, looks me dead in the eye. "Did you do this?" And I looked at him point blank. No, it was him. And I pointed to a member of his camp. And the member of the camp...
So then let me tell you what this little turd does. He takes that picture and he sends it to our newsletter editor, and he published it.
I did. So back then, the Jeff Davis Legion came out every month. And so our newsletter, Mr. John Eccles, was always asking me for stuff because I was traveling with Conor so much. I went to a lot of events. And so he just kept asking me for pictures. This was 2020.
No, it wasn't. But we're not going to tell anyone the year because Jack will go and try to find that copy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And so I send it to him just as I was like, "Hey, put this picture in." And when I get my newsletter, it is basically a whole page. And it just says underneath it in very small writing, because I guess Mr. John wanted the picture as big as it could be, "Happy birthday, Division Commander George Conor Bond." And and I also sent it to Jimmy, and he put it in the Army of Tennessee newsletter. And I still have that picture. Some of you are going to ask me to send it to you, and my answer is no, because
what do I have to lose now?
That is one of the main reasons. But the other reason is simply because he still has the video of me singing Dixie.
No.
And I don't want that to get out.
Anyway.
And so, yes, after 3.5 years of lying to you, I did it, and I even added the detail. I told him to put it in your facial hair. I said,
That
put
is,
it in your beard. Make it back.
I could forgive the betrayal of trust and the lying to me and stuff, but messing with my beard, man.
And it was probably the first practical prank or first joke I played on you, and it became a running gag that me and Connor were going to do something to each other at least once on road trips. And I can't even remember how you got me back. I know you did.
I remember we were headed home from Florida, and you were asleep in the passenger vehicle, in the passenger seat. And there was an 18-wheeler going down the road, but it was a wrecker 18-wheeler, so there was another 18-wheeler on its back. And here's the thing. Susie hates and my mother hate how I drive, because I drive in either like a pawpaw or like a bat out of hell.
Yeah,
there's no in between.
It's one or the other, and he was going for the latter, bat out of hell maneuver.
Well, I was trying to get from Jacksonville, Florida, back up to Mississippi because I had to work.
Yeah, he had to drop me off, and then because the trip was longer, also because he had to drop me off, and then he also had to go back home.
And I had to turn the rental in at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I forgot about the rental.
So it was a nice rental too.
It was really
so I actually slow down and get into the right lane. And Moose he's knocked out,
out to the
snoring. And I scream on the top of my lungs, "Oh my God, brace for impact!" And Harrison's eyes open up, and the first thing that he sees is me white knuckling the steering wheel, and he looks out, and there's what looks like an 18-wheeler coming out of us. He screams like a little girl.
Oh yeah,
at the top of his lungs.
Scream.
And then it dawns on him as I'm still in the lane what it is. I think we had to pull over at a rest area soon after, because he almost pissed himself.
I was so mad I had to go take a walk. And I do think it was a fair exchange. I deserved it. And ever since then, I've kind of lost track of what we've done to each other. I have the stories. I just don't know who's winning anymore.
I think we're even.
Yeah. We've kind of made a gentleman's agreement not to do anything too bad in public.
Well, it keeps going, like we're trying to outdo each other. So I'll do something. Moose will try to outdo me. He'll be successful at it. Then I've got to outdo him.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where it's at mutual assured destruction.
Yeah. We have proof of what we've done to each other, but we dare never show it.
Yes. So
one of y'all did get to see the outcome of me losing when I had to wear the moose suit on one of the Christmas and Dixie season finales, and I cannot remember what bet I lost, but I know that was part of the deal. That's the only real public one we've done, I think.
Yeah, which no, we didn't bet on my retiring address. So
no, we did not do anything to each other this weekend, surprisingly, mainly because we were all just way too busy. It's
Carl, I am willing to bet. Because Tom drives like I do the grocery store run.
Conor and I cannot remember when it was, but we were getting into an argument because I think we took my Challenger somewhere for once, and we'd always been
no, we never took the. No, well, yeah, we took the truck to supper back in April.
Yeah. And me and him did something. And it was like we were having an argument. And in this argument, I was talking about Conor's dip. And I was messing with him. I was like, Conor, your dip gets everywhere. I was like, don't dip in my truck. You get it all in my computer. Every time we borrow, you borrow my computer. And you get it all, you're going to get it all in my truck. And you were messing with me because you had the dip already out and you looked at me and you kept doing, oh.
And you slapped it out of my hand.
Yeah, and it got everywhere and it took me forever to clean it. It was not my most well. I don't even know. Like, I think like I was trying to hit you, but my eyes were on the road because we were driving when this happened.
Yeah. Well, also at the same time, we almost got T-boned trying to get to the hibachi restaurant.
And like me and him both noticed it at the same time. And I think that's the only time I've seen you be the one scared of driving because you just grab onto my handle.
Yeah.
Not so much emotion, but you just grab onto my handle and lean back like you're bracing for impact. I am pedaling on the gas pedal and completely missed the restaurant and have to go back.
No, not even missing the restaurant. You blew through the stop sign. You slap the dip. You slap the dip out of my hand. You keep going. There's a stop sign. I see the stop sign. I brace for impact. And I'm looking at the Challenger coming at the Gray Ghost, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna die in the Moose-mobile.
The poor Gray Ghost it smelled like dip. The Gray Ghost smelled like dip for a month, even after I cleaned it. And finally, I found the culprit as a wad of tobacco under the seat somehow.
You slapped it out of my hand.
It got everywhere.
I tell you what I can't wait for is the crickets. Oh, no, Mr. I'm going to tell the story. I actually been lying to you for the past 4 years. I'm the one that messed your beard up.
I just thought since we were sharing a bit of stories tonight, it would be a good time to start.
Okay.
I wanted to be open with you, and you told a couple funny stories about me, so I just did it in return. We've had a crazy...
Don't mind the funny story. Don't mind the funny story. Funny story's great. Ha, we all got a chuckle.
Look, would you have rather me kept telling you it was a certain someone that planned all this?
Yeah, sure would have. You would have preferred to have kept it on until the day that you died. Now I'm going to get 2 boxes of crickets and I'm putting them in your car. Anyway, guys, we've been at it for an hour and 40 minutes. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. We'll be back next week with Carl, who I think is doing a cooking episode. He may not. I don't know. Remember to share this story video out. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it does help our viewership. Remember to follow us on Facebook, on Rumble, on the SCV Chat website, on YouTube. Guys, we just got a box of very cool items in a couple weeks ago. And for those that are signed up for the website, you'll be finding out what we're going to do with some of those items. So you have between now and Thursday, right now, 8:31 p.m. Central Standard Time on June 12th, 2023. Now and Thursday at 7 o'clock when Look Around comes on to sign up for the website.
For the first round?
For this first thing.
Yeah. Are we going to tell them what we're doing or which one we're giving away, or are we going to wait?
We're going to wait. But we're giving something away for those that, hold on. Got a question. I remember the trip building a monument. We'd like to get with you on advertising our favors. Okay. Yeah. We're right now. Send us a story to, sign up. Sign up.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, dang nabbit. All right, 1 second.
Fire up, young man. Yeah, shoot us an email to scvchat@youthoutreach.com for us to advertise it on Look Around the Confederation. Remember, we do have our friend episodes, the Douglas Southall Freeman chat, Look Around Southwest Florida, Alamo City Guard chat, whatever Vinny's doing with monuments across Dixie. Just so much of this new Confederate media imperialism that we're doing, taking the nation by storm and reclaiming that narrative 1 week at a time. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here and call it. What are we doing? What are you doing Thursday?
Tune in tomorrow. Make sure to go check the SCV Chat Facebook page and scvchat.com. If you do not have Facebook, I will be letting you know what the plan is for Thursday.
And if you're already signed up, you're already entered in. But for those that are not, this is your last chance. Thursday at 7:00, we are shutting her off, and we will be putting a notice out for only those who can the sign-in page on the website. So,
all right. So make sure to sign up. If you have any problems, you can message us or email us at scvyouthoutreach@gmail.com. And make sure you check out scvchat.com or our Facebook page tomorrow to get an update on Look Around the Confederation. And I guess till then.
No Fumar.
In the elevator.